What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video, another episode of Everybody Hates Black Men. I'm your host, Edward Anderson. I decided to do an early morning stream, too late to, be still up. We're gonna do an examination of a clip from Joe Budden's podcast. I should do this in video upload format. I may do this in video upload format and we just re-upload it, but we're gonna do this right now because I feel like doing it. And that's really all it takes. Shout out to everybody that's been watching my video. Shout out to the new subscribers. We keep it real even when it hurts. And if people are in your feelings, then I really, put it in the comments.
People are raised in a scenario.
So I don't let me be very clear here. With this is who we're talking. This is a 2 minute clip, and I listened to like 30 seconds of it, but it's enough then where I knew I wanted to talk about more of it. Let's keep it real. And I want to say I haven't seen the whole clip. I've seen about 25% of the clip. The problem, I don't care who you date. I know plenty of people that are married to non-black people that are on point when it comes to this conversation. That they know way more than a lot of people that claim to be pro-black and claim to be quote unquote a pro-black leader, especially when it comes to the building side of it. And when I talk about they know more, I'm talking about the way they raise their kids. Obviously, they have to take into account the other group, but they raise their kids as if they're black. Their spouse recognizes this is how they're going to be treated, and most of these, um, and if you're not, especially if you're not dealing with a non-white spouse, a lot of times they get it anyway because if they've been in the country any amount of time. So this is not blanking everybody, but a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with entertainers, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and they have never truly been challenged and their stuff scrutinized. And this is regardless if Anton is with a black woman. Look at the shit he talks. So this is not necessarily predicated on you dating outside your race. I support XYSBM, but and you have people are in there. But in this case, we're gonna talk about Joe Budden podcast. See that nigga look damn near white, and a lot of people, even though he claims black. And Martin Lamont Hill is here, Mona's here, and two other the guys are here. One of the guys don't even want to have a conversation, which to me is a bitch move because you're that scared. If you really stand on what you stand on, then stand on it. And we're gonna have this conversation, and I'm gonna go through it because I want to break down really. A lot of black people don't really know what racism is, and I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's your parents' fault. Your parents failed in that regard. Um, they failed in that regard. And honestly, it shouldn't be on them either. Like, this is what our church institutions, we have a lot of institutions. We have a lot of institutions that are really supposed to properly educate our people. I do not believe it is the school. See where the public school system becomes valuable, as in letting other people know what the history of this country is. But obviously, they still want to participate in the BS in the country. So, of course, they're only going to go so far. And there's a lot. So, but when it comes to us knowing what the history is, to be on stand on it, that's our own institutions are supposed to do that. And then we're supposed to use that to project out how other people are supposed to treat us and why. Jewish people do a very good job at this, even just off of World War II. And this is something that, quite frankly, we should have been doing. But instead, we allowed like things like Martin Luther King Day, Black History Month is coming up. We allow these things to be co-opted because people would rather be liked rather than respected. And this is something that I put on because the men kind of allow this by being apathetic. But obviously, the women and quite frankly, women nest anyway. So female nature is going to dictate that women. It was on the men to hold women in line and stuff like that. And we've let a lot of stuff go in previous generations, and we haven't just stood the test of that. Although we know what the women have done. That hasn't been broken with feminism and all that. We get that. But I'm not about to focus on the women. This is something where we're going to talk about the men. And if for those y'all those catch this in the morning or later on, type in replay gang. Let me know what your thoughts are. And let's jump right in it. I actually like this format. I actually like this format. What I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start seeing. I think it's 3 by 4. I'm gonna see if I can start stretching videos out so it can be like this, and then use not StreamYard, but what's the other one? The other one where I can show my face, OBS, in order to have a consistent picture. I think that'll create a good video. So that's actually cool. Let me see. Maximize. No, maximize just takes it like that. Okay, maximize on my end. Takes it like that. Okay, so this is actually getting me. Okay, this is actually a good way for me to speak. Oh, okay, this is actually good. Um, yeah, we'll do it this way. We'll do it this way.
where some of us are inherently racist based are raised in a scenario where some of us are inherently racist based on shit that our parents instilled in us.
Black people can't be racist.
So my thing is, and we'll get further into it, but just that statement alone, that is literally, I could do. I forget what they call it in TikTok, where you do. I could stitch that alone. If you say something like that, I'm gonna need you to give me an example. The West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, South. I need you to give me an example. And this dude he's probably in his mid 40s based on looking at him, early 40s, mid 40s. Give me an example. Just give me an example of some stuff you're going to be taught that's going to make you inherently racist. I'll give you a perfect example. This is a tag to something that people tag Corey Holcomb with. But Corey Holcomb wasn't raised in a household that taught him to be racist. You can't be racist. I agree with Mona. But Corey Holcomb was not raised in a household that taught him to be prejudiced. Corey Holcomb has a certain prejudice against white folks based on how he's treated. And truth be told, Corey Holcomb, I wouldn't even say has a prejudice, because prejudice is, if you are white, you are automatically like how Israelis and Persians, Israelis or Arabs, Indians and Pakistanis, especially Indians and Pakistanis, Japanese and pick a Asian group. If you are established as this person, it is an automatic problem. A lot of people say homophobia. They homophobia is really prejudice against gay people. That's really what it actually is. But when you say you're raised, and I'm not even gonna get into breaking down the word breaking down the racist part yet. I just want to talk about, let's say he's interchanging racism and prejudice. I need you, assuming he's really talking about prejudice, how were black people raised to be prejudiced? Like, map that. Like, seriously, give me an example of something that black people are told. Black women are told, because black women, I've said it before, nobody's taking more from the black woman than the white woman. Nobody kisses the ass of the white woman more than the black woman. And black men are not seen as having a particular issue with white women, and even white black men don't have this natural, I just don't like white men. They just get mad they don't get left alone. So I would really need you to tell me in what household, unless you like, what household are we really talking about? Veronica Conway, in that used to be on the Zoe What show, said she was raised by a Black Panther. Veronica Conway don't even have issues with white people like that. A lot of these women have more issues with black men than white people. Where are you seeing this group? You don't see it in the gangbangers. This is hitting to black on black crime. Where do you see this? Like, what? Give me an example. Because I can give you an example of white people being prejudiced before we even get into the racism part. When white people talk about being edgy, there's actually a really good clip. There's actually a really good clip of I think it's Asian or Japanese or Chinese. I think it's Chinese, where a Chinese girl said, a Chinese, like, she's like teenager, I don't know, 60, 70, whatever, said some goofy shit. And then her dad, and this is like not a clip to clip. I saw the clip as her dad literally was having her apologize to black people for something she said. And then they don't clip what it was, and then everybody's in the comments. I actually want to do a video about that, because honestly, I'm not saying you gotta embarrass your daughter like that or put your daughter out there like that, but I'm gonna tell you, that is some shit I'm talking about when I talk about people gotta call out, the people in their group. You know. Now I ain't saying you can gotta do all that, but yo, kudos to that dude for doing that. Because but then I asked myself, who was she doing that for? And a lot of white people like to talk, like young white folks mainly, like to talk about them being edgy, which is why they say the N word. And my thing is, part of your rehabilitation, if you say the N word, means you should have to learn the real history, what real slavery is, what Jim Crow was, the stuff they don't teach you in school. So you really understand what you're talking about, because y'all don't go around, throwing anti-Semitic stuff out there. But my point is, she was probably trying to be edgy for some little Brad or something like that. They call it edgy. And that justifies their prejudice against all any group, because they're being edgy, because they think their freedom of speech is being hampered when they don't have no fucking clue of the history behind why these things. Truth be told, black people calling each other the N word is a fucking trauma response. It's a recognition of our shared issue in the United States of America, which is why a lot of other people, black people from other groups, particularly Africa, don't really resonate with it as much. They don't get it. Caribbeans get it a little bit, but they try to act like they don't get it. And so somebody said something very significant. They said a lot of times the reason why you got Latins that think Latinos that think they can say the N word is because they identify being black with being poor, and they think if they're poor they're the same. And it was a black woman that said that, and I had to type in there and say, "Yo, that was a very good point." Not saying it's right, not saying like she didn't make an excuse for it, but she said that's where the mentality comes from, which is inherently prejudice in and of itself. And that's why you get like white people like Bad Baby and them thinking they can say that. Anyway, my point going back to him is, I need you to give me an example of how you've observed this in the observable world. If you can't even give me an anecdotal thing with it, then I'm be like, shut the fuck up. Because I don't fuck that theoretical shit. If you can't even give me an anecdotal example, and that shit better make sense, you better be able to give me more than a one off. I'll be quick to say, dude, shut the fuck up. By the way, yeah, he is with apparently a white girl, I think. But people can say stupid stuff and not be with a white girl. But to speak to that, a lot of dudes, if you don't have the balls to have this real conversation with the bitch you with, number one, you a bitch, and number two, that's gonna show up if you have kids. But let's keep going.
Okay, I ain't having that conversation. Prejudice towards.
And then he says he ain't having that conversation. Why aren't you having that conversation? And again, Mark is saying prejudice. No, no, no. Don't speak on racism if you don't know what racism is. Don't say, "Oh, you really mean prejudice." No, you know your words. You're too old. You went through a good education. You know the difference between prejudice and racist. Don't interchange the shit, because we don't talk about race. We don't talk. Our issue is not that non-black people don't like us. Our issue is the institutional shit we got to deal with. That's the issue. And a lot of y'all don't understand that fucking issue, which is why a lot of y'all don't understand fucking reparations.
Whites. And that's just shit that our kids, you know what I mean, our parents gave to us. So black people can't be racist.
Again, what did our parent like? I don't know what the fuck. What? First of all, black people teaching black children to have an issue with white people will put you in could potentially put you in mortal danger. So no, like black women aren't doing that shit, and black men aren't there, according to everybody, even though that's not true. What the fuck? Where are they getting this information from? Black people go through a public school system. Black people watch TV. Where? Because most motherfuckers are not making white people look bad as a group like that, to the point where you just gonna say I don't like white people. Like that's what I'm saying. Anyway,
The oppressed can't be racist. It's impossible. You can't.
I also find it funny. We got people like almost like all, 3 out of 4 of these people are either as light as me, and either at best as light as I am or lighter than I am. I find that ironic.
Be you being racist, judging somebody by their color, is totally different from you responding to what somebody's been doing to you for a million years. It's not racism. It's a reaction.
That is a good point. That is a good point. That is a great point. But that opens you up to like the Palestinians and the Israelis, which truth be told, the Israelis do like technically the Palestinians got a point because the Israelis do be doing the most. That gets a little bit more in the gray area, but for the most part, that sticks. But that's actually not even in that situation. Like, how many black people are really like, I don't like white people? That really Charlie Kirk was one of few to try to act like that was like just because of what you were told. No, it's a reaction to you being fucked with, and even still, black people endure a lot from white people and not have because you almost can't even function in this country if you just have this kind of issue with white people in your head. You may be you know what y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying you still have to function with it, and they can detect that. So I'm not saying you gotta like them, but at the same time, this thing where you got this anger, this seething shit, see, that's a different thing.
Totally
Let me
different.
ask you a question. There are oppressed people that are not black.
I don't give.
Now, the way he asked that question, this is shout out to Messi, shout out to Bernard, but this is where this shit becomes a slippery slope. We are, I am, I do, this is where this becomes a slippery slope. I'm telling you right now, this motherfucker doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I would have added another thing. I would have said first, before we continue, do you know the difference between being prejudiced and being racist? Do you know those two different? Because that is a very technically bigotry, prejudice, and racism are actually three different things, and they're distinct difference why they're different words. But in this particular, and he's trying to talk about bigotry. He's all this is the same shit to him. What is the difference between prejudice and racism? If you can't tell me that difference, you're not qualified to have this conversation. The difference is racism is has a power dynamic. Prejudice is I don't like you. That's what prejudice is. Racism has a collusion aspect to it. Racism has a collusion aspect to it. So we're all quote unquote Americans. And you say, I'm going to subvert your rights that the Constitution gives you, that the Constitution was modified to give you, because I don't like black people. You can say you don't want to live around black people and technically not be racist. There's a difference between saying I don't want to live around black people and I'm going to create systems that make it so you can't get a fucking house in a decent area, even though you could qualify for it, because I just don't, because I don't want, because I just don't want you. I want you to make sure not only do I don't have to live around you motherfuckers, but other people don't. Racism requires a collusion aspect to it. Being prejudiced is I don't like you. Being bigoted can be is I don't like you too, for slightly different reasons. What prejudice is. That's the difference. There's a collusionary aspect to subvert somebody's rights or freedom and rights. For instance, immigrants have human rights, but they don't have citizen rights. And then you got to look at the fact with immigrants, especially undocumented immigrants, how they're used as a shadow population in order to undermine other groups on some racial class warfare type shit. Which I don't have a problem with immigrants, but I have a problem with that. And then when immigrants participate in that because they have racial attitudes, now that's a response. So when he's talking about can oppress what he's I already know what he's trying to say.
People that are not black.
And he says, are there oppressed people that are not black? Palestinians are oppressed. So you're gonna say Palestinians are just racist against Israelis, or are you gonna say Palestinians don't like Palestinians live with Israelis for a long time before all the stuff got done in 1945? They were cool. And then there's the Israelis, and then there's the Jewish people, which is the white people that came over there. That's one example. The other example is, well, Pakistanis and Hindus are not oppressed because they have their own nation. Um, Let me see. Like I said, he needs to give an example because it's like I can, I'm looking at the globe when we talk about like what real oppression right now is. Like when when the Japanese were fucking people up, people have an issue with Japanese because of the shit they've done. That's not prejudice. That's not racist. Racist requires a power thing. So when he and again, so let's see what Mona says. I saw some of this part.
I don't give a fuck.
Let
I'm
me
talking about niggas.
No,
We can't be racist.
we having a conversation. You said oppressed people can't be racist.
No, I'm
Okay.
saying black people.
Yeah, Mona did say that. She said black people cannot be racist, not oppressed people can. She said the oppressed part after.
Can't
saying
be
black
racist. That's what I
oppressed
said.
too.
She did, but I know what she meant.
I said black people can't be racist, and they because they are oppressed.
And Mona's talking about black people in the United States of America. And we live in the United States of America. So don't try to bring everybody else into it, because even other people that are quote unquote colonized still practice anti-black racism. Meaning, how can they do that? Because they pull up with white people as buffer classes and stuff like that. And they get benefits they did not earn. A lot of these motherfuckers aren't fighting in these wars that we fought in all the way to make this country great. So just like how these people want to act like they oppress now with Trump, but they'll still get in these local government offices and try to participate with white people and fucking black people up. Technically, the Irish were quote unquote oppressed, but they still practice anti. So again, he's trying to be right rather than, because he in his mind he think he know, which he don't. And when he made
That's what I said, but I'm not
That's what she
speaking
should-
for nobody.
That's what she
A
meant, though. I'm
Mexican,
just saying, let's move
a
past
Puerto
what she
Rican, a
said.
Dominican, none of that.
You're right,
I'm talking for niggas. What I care about, niggas.
I don't.
Can I make an observation? Because
I hate
I
y'all
watched this
play like
conversation
that
happen
up
a
here.
million
That
times,
shit
and I
is
feel like whenever
crazy.
people have the black people can't
I can't stand Mark Lamar Hill. This is one of the reasons why I don't like him.
be racist conversation, I find that both people are actually saying the same thing, and they're defining racism.
I don't want to have that conversation.
Let me hear me out. Though. They're just defining racism differently.
Yep. True.
So if
Yep.
you're defining
I don't want to have that conversation, motherfucker. Then how the fuck? There is one definition of racism. That's why prejudice and bigotry exists. There's one definition. There's not multiple definitions. So somebody doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Not know I don't want to have this conversation because people are in their feelings. Fuck your feelings. I can have this conversation being your without being in my feelings. I'm an adult, and then I can out logic you. Let's keep going.
racism as
A system.
a systemic power to impose your prejudice against others, then yeah, black people can't be racist
True.
because they don't have systemic power.
True.
If you
Exactly. And when black people have had and see, and the thing about it is in situations, first of all, HBCUs, people try to say, well, HBCUs are racist because that's mainly black people that go there. No, that just happens to be mainly black people that go there. As other groups have wanted to go to HBCUs, they don't get boxed out of HBCUs. You've had Asian valedictorians at HBCUs. You got Asian, most of your math and your STEM stuff are not black people in these HBCUs. Those are non-black professors. So when they actually try to go for the job, they can get the job. They don't get boxed out because of their race. And in the original why HBCUs were even created, it was white people that created those HBCUs mainly to keep us out of their schools. You know, and also because this made us to be a professional labor class or working class under them. That's where the origin of most of your HBCUs. Most white people found in most of your like 90% of your HBCUs. So when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about and you're an immigrant, you're from somewhere else, and that other dude is not an immigrant, and you say, well, HBCUs is it? No, white people can go to HBCUs if they want to go. That's never been a problem. That's the point. Like our shit, you can go if you want to go. And when you look at things we control, like when you look at even hip hop music, we're very inviting. We're too inviting. When it looks at who we spend money on, like which is really what counts. All that word shit don't mean shit if there's not an economic component of it. And so even in situations where we have had any kind of power, we do not like conjunct it to our own detriment. Actually, even the way we operate politically, even fucking pan-Africanism. And but what were other groups talking about? Oh, I ain't black, I ain't black, I ain't black, I ain't this, I ain't that, I ain't this. Because they again, so no, you don't see that nowhere. You really don't. When it comes to what we do, and that's why I would ask him. You need to show me where you see that shit. But yeah, Mark said it right. You have to have power in order to oppress. Now, this doesn't mean you got to have ultimate power, but you have to have power to oppress, and that's what racism is. And yeah, I'll give him what he's talking about to execute your prejudice, or I'll say bigotry or whatever. In that, yeah, and that's why Mona is right. So when you're sitting here acting like, oh, black people can be racist too, well, you can't. You need to demonstrate where they have been. And I'm talking about as a group. Where as a group have we boxed people out? Where? Economically. Where? Show me, show me, show me, show me, show me. You can't even really make that argument in Liberia. Show me. And that's technically an off branch of black people. But show me. You can't. You cannot show me that. And if you cannot show me that, shut the fuck up. I'm not trying to, I'm serious. Let's have a logical argument rather than you trying to dig it in. Everybody likes to have this conversation from the example of street folks or low class folks use racism as an excuse. Once you take that off the board and you have a real conversation about it, now they don't know what to say.
You're deciding black if you're defining racism as the belief
prejudice against somebody.
or racial superiority, an ideology, then yeah, black people could be racist. I define it the way you do.
Black people, that's not really racism. That's white supremacy. That's where that gets different. That's not where and see that's where when you start getting into the nuance of these words, that's white supremacy, the ideology. Because then we got to have a real conversation on who is white. Truth be told, the main white people are Germanic tribes, which is Germany, Germany, Hungary, Austria, I think Danish, because some of them smaller countries are like off branches of Germans. The Nordics are honorary put in there. Anglo Saxons, which is the UK, minus the Irish, by the way. And then the Scots, because they let the Scots in, then they let the Irish last. But really, the Irish didn't even count. And then the Scots were already in there, but like at the bottom before that. And then the Gaul, which is French. And Prussian, Trump is Prussian. That's kind of like in the Slav don't even count. That's why you never see Eastern whites and Western whites are like different because Slavics don't count to white people. That's really what white is to them. And then the Southern Europeans, your Greeks, your Italians, they're considered as their blood is dirty. But if you talk into basic white people, they'll just say anybody that looks kind of like them that's from Europe is them. The Spanish weren't even in there like that. Because truth be told, if you want to know the real shit, Spanish, a lot of this Spanish origin was a lot of Arabs that was up in there. Like I'm talking about in Spain, they got a lot of Arabic mix. Y'all ain't ready for that conversation. Arabic and white, and then they just angled it white. Larry will talk about the Moors and stuff. Portugal too, which is why they don't consider them the same. So now we got to but the idea is that this idea of race via whiteness is going to be prioritized when it comes to resources and shit backed by the gun. So yes, that's white supremacy. And racism is primarily used as a way of keeping the low class whites in line with the rich people by seeing other races as a quote unquote threat, mainly black people, because there's a certain genetic disposition with black people because shout out to Dr. Francis Quartz Welsing, of fear of being annihilated. Which the main reason why white people's numbers are down as much as they are is because of the wars they fought amongst each other. But that's a whole nother story. So that's white supremacy and racism. Racism is kind of the engine by which white supremacy is practiced, but the ideology of white supremacy, because racism, like Asian racism, like for instance, how the Chinese oppressed the Tibetans is considered racism, but that wouldn't be considered white supremacy. How the Japanese were doing what they were doing in the Japanese Empire could definitely be racism, but that's not white supremacy. And that's not even Asian supremacy. So, yeah.
But what I'm saying is y'all aren't really disagreeing on.
I'm not even disagreeing. I just said I don't have.
Mark is basically trying to impose his will on this conversation. No, they're not disagreeing. They are disagreeing. Like you're saying they're not disagreeing. No, they're disagreeing. Mona is saying black people can't be racist. She didn't articulate the power dynamic because Maybe she just didn't feel like going that deep into it because she was more annoyed than anything. This dude don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He don't. He don't. He's in that he probably believe we all at one race. No, black people cannot be like nigga. You in your like half and half. You in your white girlfriend's relationship. If that white girl said you hit her, nigga, you're going to jail regardless of you having it on tape that that shit didn't happen. If you call the police on her, they then you might go to jail for getting it for filing a false report. Dead ass. Or at the very least, they're gonna say you need to leave. And I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't even give a fuck if a black dude comes through there. If it's a black and white cop, it don't even gotta be two white cops. Are you fucking like you wanna know what racism is? Fucking Jonathan Majors and what he had to deal with. That's a system of institutions. And a lot of these do, and see, that's not taught, and people don't even know how to recognize those institutions. They don't know how to recognize the media and how the media chooses what to cover. And so what happens is you get with a bitch and you love that bitch. So you want to be like, you want to make excuses for her. And so you start coming up with these dumbass ideas like, well, black people can be racist too. Okay, cool. Explain to me how a black man can be racist to a white woman. In this fuck anywhere in the world. Damn, just this country. South Africa, you got Trump talk about he could send shit to South Africa if South Africa takes land back that was stolen from them. White people in the middle of fucking Africa. They don't got power to stop these white people. But yet, you got Trump talking about what the fuck? Like, give me an example how a black man can be racist to a white woman in a relationship. Well, he could hit her. He could. He could. And if he hits her, that's going to be an overwhelming response. It's going to be that motherfucker might not make it out that house if the cops come. Dead ass. Well, OJ, they botched the case. And by the way, even if they didn't get OJ that time, they made sure to get OJ in other ways. They made sure to get OJ in other ways. Those institutions follow OJ Simpson until they got him for something that was quite frankly stupid, stealing your own stuff back, and they gave him all that time. Mike and Malice Leon 08 says black Americans have the ability to be prejudiced as a group or population. If a white person gets in trouble, it is because white elites put their foot down. I think I know what you're talking about. But I'm not sure what you mean. I will say, for example, Bernie Madoff is an example of what you're talking about. Madoff, when Bernie Madoff, I mean, come on, Burkina Faso, and they still trying to kill that dude. When Bernie Madoff stole from other Jews, that's why he got the time he got, even more so than like what most white collar crime got. He said that's more ethnic than racial. That may be true. Portuguese and Spanish have a whole lot of black, Arabic, mid-white. Yeah. And that's why they get boxed out when it comes to those conversations. They kind of get looped in, but yeah. Anglo-Saxon, Goth, Visigoth, those who came out of Isis. Yeah. Trump just had a conference where some German gave him his proof of German roots. Yeah. And by the way, I got that from BGS. Because a lot of that Russian kings, Russian like czar shit, that's that Prussian German oligarch shit. Having traveled to other black countries, I usually get treated one way, and then she has a black American until they get to know me. Then I get told I'm not like black Americans they met before. I mean, they ain't met that many black Americans. How many black? You mean you ain't like black Americans you saw on the fucking TV? That's what the fuck they talking about. They can kiss my ass with that. Ain't that many black Americans is going through Africa like that, other than Ghana, and even then, most of them are older.
I know what I'm saying is, but y'all probably have the same position.
They do.
Just using different words. And so
They don't have the same position. We wouldn't have had an argument. They wouldn't be talking if they had the same position. Her position is black people can't be racist. His position is black people can be racist. What the fuck are you talking about, Mark?
So I find people end up on the internet and in real life having hours about whether black people can be racist. And actually,
the last thing I'm gonna say is the part that's fucking me up with y'all. Oh, the rumors. What fucking rumors about white people that aren't true? Like historically, what people say about white people. Which one that's not true?
Yeah, that they should. Great question, but even outside of that, like the thing is, dude is out here like because the thing is it's like you trying to be like, yeah man, well black people can be racist too. Okay, give me an example, and if you can't, shut the fuck up because you're not young. Like what the fuck you talking about? You and your yeah man, I get it, you fucking a white chick, I get that, but what are we talking about? Like in the area of activity, what are we talking about? Give me an example. And they never can. Give me an example. There was a video with Anton where Anton was reacting to this one black dude talking about it ain't that you're black, it's that you look poor. Dude, shut the fuck up. Because if that was true, then white people would be on white people's ass. It's more poor white people than poor black people. White people don't man, get the fuck out of here. You think rich white people you think white people, the middle class white people interact with poor white people the same? They right. What are you talking about? He said FBA can box out tethers from participating in any conversation regardless of black people. Okay, that's not racism though. That's not racism. And to be honest with you, we really don't. You talking about what we can do versus what we actually do. We actually don't. Racism would be I'm not spending money, I'm not spending a black dollar. I wouldn't even say that's really racism, but if you go out and say I'm not spending a dollar with a particular group just because I don't like them. Now, if they got a reason, like they keep on, like let's say, you know, the situation, they keep on abusing your women and stuff, yeah, you got to make a point. But black people don't do that. So again, the word that you messed up saying is can. I don't want to know what motherfuckers can do. I want to know what motherfuckers have done, what they are doing. I don't want to see when you say can, that's theoretical. I'm talking about what they are doing. Mike and Matt says basically white people require that blacks are racist because the institution, aka elites, put whites in their place. It is not, or says that's not racism. That's classism. That's them misrepresenting racism for classism. Because black people have no control over those institutions. Black people have no control over it. Even when Obama was president, Obama had to go out like that's not racism, that's classism. That's why people and they know what they're doing. There is no white person that doesn't know what classism is. When they complain that this is why when they try to do DEI and they thought all these black people was going to lose, black men were going to lose their jobs, they didn't, because they realized it was a lot of white women there where black people should have been. That's why you don't hear them talk about DEI like that no more. In fact, I find it comical that people call Josh Allen DEI MVP. And what's sad is you got a whole bunch of white people that even is like on Josh Allen's ass, because that's how bad the media is covering for him. Can doesn't matter what they have done. Well, that ish pale side coming out. He just a generation removed from yeah. And I would have told him to his face. I'd been like, dude, if you got kids with a white woman, you're not black. Your kids are not black. You've opted out. As a light skinned person, I'm telling you, it's one thing you like SWP and you dark skinned, you got the melanin to spare. If you light skin, you opting out. But I will say I have seen light skin. In fact, I don't know what this is. I've seen this with a couple of white skin females where light skin is just so strong in their family. They get with dark skin people and then the kids come out light skin. I've seen that a lot. You'd be surprised. And they are about 3/4 black. That does happen. Like the people I'm dealing with. Yep, I totally understand why he revoked giving black Americans free citizenship to Burkina Faso. Can't trust anyone from over here. I shouldn't have gotten mine before he changed it. I should I mean, look, much prop to Burkina Faso, but I mean, I don't even look at it like that. I look at that as a temporary. I look at that as like, dude's got to get his country under control. And when I say under control, I mean the country is. I mean he got people on his ass. So yeah, it wouldn't be smart. Why would you? Here's my thing. Why would you give black? What is the point of giving black Americans free citizenship or giving them citizenship at all? The point of wanting us to come over there is to be a cash infusion. So if we're not going to be over there be a cash infusion, there's no point. And yeah, there is something to be said about a lot of black Americans can't be trusted. There's plenty of black Americans that they can get over there to get close to them. Absolutely. So I wouldn't even disagree with that point. Most people ain't real. We please. I definitely understand that. But at the end of the day, the country is in a stage right now. Is why would you want to go over there? Thank you for saying that, LOL. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying whatever. And I'm not here to say I ain't gonna fuck with you again. But fuck with you if you do that. But like, do people that's one thing about SYSBM. They be having this thing, we're gonna recreate a black community with a whole bunch of nah, it's not gonna work that way. You're making that decision. Now, granted, like in this generation now, we can, we still got stuff in common, and it's cool. It's cool. I'm not trying to ice somebody out, but let's be real about what that is, you know. And so this dude is sitting there trying to participate. It's not about him participating. My issue is the shit he's saying is wrong, and I could tell in his case, like when he's saying shit that he can't even provide real examples on. For example, when you hear Clutch say the shit he say about the black community, he's got an endless. He can roll out a whole toilet paper full of examples in his family, he's observed, in his experience, just anecdotal, let alone stuff he's seen outside of just himself. If that's all I'm asking. If you talking about you black people can be racist too, yeah, black people can be prejudiced against white people, but where do you usually see that come out? You talk about words? What cracker? Oh, white people don't clean. White people don't clean except a couple of times a week. Yo, I can get you a whole list. I can get you a whole list of. I can literally get you a whole list of YouTube of TikTok videos of white people validating that that's true with a lot of white people and comments of white people confirming that. It was literally a video that went live, went viral because a white. This is a white woman now said that black people wash themselves every day because they feel like they're dirty because of racism. And there was a whole bunch of white people that co-signed that to the point where other white people, women and men, had to tell that chick, shut the fuck up, view in the comments, shut the fuck up. They had to literally start ethnically splitting, talking about, and this was in America. There ain't nothing we ain't saying about them that ain't true. Even the Neanderthal thing, motherfucker, that shit, a lot of that shit's been validated by scientists, white scientists. All that shit is true. I mean, we're not making nothing up. Like, what are black people making up about white people? They don't season their stuff. They don't. Not like we do. And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. What are we talking about? Like, give me an example. And well, no, no, no. I'm asking you for an example. I'm not asking you about, you feel this way. I'm asking you to engage in a logical conversation based on historical stuff and stuff that's going on now. And you can tell what he was trying to do was he was trying to broaden it out globally when Mona was clearly talking about Americans and the American experience and black people in it. We weren't talking about global bullshit. That wasn't what we were talking about. He said, Mike, I agree with what you're saying, but those black American soldiers were purposely put there. They are not happy about it, but they have kids and family to take care of. Were purposely put there. I'm not talking about it's interesting. You said soldiers. I'm not even talking about the soldiers. I mean, shit, white people don't even want AFRICOM in Africa. That shit's in Germany. But I'm not even talking about soldiers. I'm not talking about soldiers at all because soldiers have nothing to do with citizenship. I'm talking about civilians because America operates through that too. But at the end of the day, what's the point of black Americans being in Burkina Faso? First of all, if you're a black American and you're Burkina Faso, you're going to be on a list anyway. You're going to be on a list anyway. You will be watched here. And you might be labeled a terrorist. Straight up. So what's the point? I mean, yeah, we could, be cool with them from afar, sending money, whatever, whatever. But like, And I'm not. I'm just saying, like, what is the real purpose? Like, I don't think people think that through. They be like, "Yeah, man, you're taking it to the white man." Not really. And I support what he's doing because fuck the French, straight up. The French are leeches even more so than the United States. But my thing is, I don't think people be really understanding what they be talking about. But the soldiers, I'm not even talking about. Shout out to Camp Lejeune and Fort Bragg out here. Camp Lejeune is 2.5 hours away from me. Fort Bragg is an hour and 10 minutes. He was getting disrespected in Algeria. Who is he? He said, "Hey Edward, you talk about ISO Speed. Now he's getting treated." And yeah, ISO Speed got 50. ISO Speed's got 50. ISO Speed has 50 million subscribers. ISO Speed has 50 million subscribers. He'll be all right. ISO Speed has 50 million. ISO Speed is the most followed black person on YouTube. He'll be all right. That's crazy. I would check out his videos. He got some good videos, all of them in the millions. But I talked about that yesterday, knockout. Yeah, fuck Algeria, but I talked about it yesterday. I mean, you can't be treated everywhere well. I mean, that's more of a look on them than him. Most definitely, Edward. I was responding to him talking about the relationship that black soldiers stationed in Africa have with his tribes. Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I can understand that. I can understand that. Peace World did video on him earlier. Okay. Even in the case of black people with power, they refuse to be racist to whites. The only group blacks are systematically oppressive towards is other blacks, specifically square square. I mean, square in there. I mean, come on, man, because the street people don't even got money like that. So, I mean, if we really talking about the people with the real money, so we kind of get in the weeds with that. You're talking about more like cultural shit, which trust and believe a lot of people have a problem. This is why some people are really backing Anton against Corey. A lot of people got an issue with that. I've had a lot of people make a lot of cases to me. They were making a lot of cases you would have definitely agreed with. Maybe not Anton, but like the history behind it. You would have definitely agreed with a lot of this stuff. So, and when we say power, you're talking about cultural influence. You're talking about cultural influence. And honestly, man, that's starting to change because with the alpha generation, allure is actually starting to disseminate. It is. It's falling with this anime and all of that, and that's a good thing. So that's starting to move finally. Because remember, we're the children of the crack era. The alphas aren't. The alphas were born in like 2010. Hold on, like 13, 2012, 2012, 2012, 2013. So they're way removed from that. And it's starting to show. It's showing with disease as well. I'm gonna keep it real. Speed getting disrespected is not the worst thing in the world because he's very good at handling that. Number one and number two, it humanizes him to a lot of people, which from a marketing standpoint helps him more than hurts him. And it's real, and it shows he's willing to put it out there and not look good. It helps him, and it makes them look stupid, but it actually helps him because it humanizes him. It gives one more people less of an excuse. Um, less of man, I'm glad they put this feature on here. Less of an excuse to hate on him. But 50 million follow subscribers, man, that's impressive, man. And the thing is, I don't get none of it. You would think every black person would get I show speed thing. I don't. I've never been pushed to his stuff on any of my channels. Not every black is in care and protection of black love and life. All blacks should know the difference so they know who they are dealing with when they're paying attention. I mean, I don't know what that means. I get what you're saying, but I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's in response to. Black Americans do not have power. They have money, not power. Money does not include power. Yeah, they don't. And black people barely have money as a group. We even when people talk about a spending power, like, you know, but we barely have money. So, but no, we don't have power. Black, and this is why I'm talking. That's a problem that black men don't even really know what power is. They really, and power is not something you're going to be taught in school. Understanding power, like understanding how to develop power, leverage. This is a conversation black men do not have because we can't even leverage that over our own women. Leon, in America is not really power, but in countries in the Caribbean, U.S., money is power. Yeah, but even still, I mean, money is power, but it's not the only power. Like you start disrespecting people, you know, physical power. There's three types of power: the ability to influence, the ability to influence, the force, influence, and buying them off. The money part is buying them off. Force is basically violence, and influence is, you know, shit out your speed does. Yeah, but you're right. In America, that's not money. Money has power to it, but money is not the be all end all like people think it is. Not when you get to certain levels. When you get to certain levels, like you can't. If you have a lot of money, like you can have enough money to buy an NFL team. That doesn't mean you're gonna get it because they have to vote you in. There's different levels. Most black people, capital can fall flat, just like what happened to Kanye West or Robert F. Smith. Yeah, well, you know, Robert F. Smith still got money, but they tried to act like they was gonna take it. And Kanye West got more money than people think. Alphas was on their phones their whole life. They different. I mean, Z's damn near were too. Alphas are just born into it. Robert F. Smith is the second richest person in the world. I mean, in a black person in America. Net worth. His net worth is $10 billion as of now. David Stewart net worth. Yep, David Stewart still passed him. David Stewart is 11.2 billion. Kai Cenat going through a breakup. Her NBA YoungBoy took his girl. I mean, I don't know, man. NBA YoungBoy. I mean, at the end of the day, Kai can't compete with NBA YoungBoy when it comes to that shit. Because NBA YoungBoy actually had a cash infusion because of his tour. These chicks would die for that nigga. So I wouldn't even be mad. I'm glad. I'd be glad that happened before you had kids. But Kai kind of whatever. That's not my shit to talk about. To be honest with you, buying them off can gain you force of influence. It's really tricky. It is a tricky game. It's not. It's not. People think power is not just a one trick pony. It's not. But because then you got group power versus individual. But anyway, my point is just to play this shit over again real quick, and then we'll head this off because I got other stuff to do.
Black people are raised in a scenario where some of us are inherently racist based on shit that our parents instilled in us.
Black people can't be racist.
Okay, all right.
And the fact that he's like, okay, all right, I'm not even engaged in that. I'm like, dude, like, do you understand how fucking nonsensical? Um, if he was talking about like colorism, like what the stuff Clutch is talking about, then absolutely he has a point. But he's not talking about that. He's talking about a conversation amongst us and how we deal with other groups. And when you understand what like we understand in this space, what he's saying is fucking nonsensical as fuck. Like, who do we not spend our money with? We spend our money. Like, what are you talking about?
Having that conversation.
Prejudice towards whites.
And that's just shit that our kids, you know what I mean? Our parents gave to us. So
Black people can't be racist.
Again, yeah, he said prejudice towards whites, and he said that's something our parents gave to us. What are you talking about? Like, seriously, give me an example of something that our parents gave to us that makes us racist against white people. That's how I would have started that shit. Fuck all that bullshit. Now, granted, these are clips, so maybe they had that conversation.
The
Nah, David Stewart passed him. David Stewart's been past him for about a year now, year and a half. He's gaining money, but he's closed the gap a little bit. But David Stewart is hold on one second. Fuck this shit. Now you would think you all would know who David Stewart is, right? You know, the Anton will tell you who David Stewart is, right? Because you know he's talking about millionaire morning. It ain't about race, but he don't want to teach you niggas too much shit. He don't want to teach y'all nothing because that's dangerous. This is David Stewart, and for the black females, he got a black wife. See. The fact that every black person don't know who these people are is actually kind of crazy. Well, yeah, of course that's not true. I mean, I don't know, but what I don't even know what that means. I don't think he lives the life of a black man. What do you mean by that? What, because he has a lot of money? Did Anton really first get a dude? I think. Well, I don't know. That's what they say. I'm not 100% certain on that. David. He's ranked third wealthiest black person. I've been waiting for us to catch them damn Africans. All that fucking gold and mine and shit. Yeah, he catching that ass. He's the richest black person in America and second globally behind the dude I just showed. He's the second richest African American. He's the 312th richest globally. Anyway,
can't be racist. It's impossible. You can't be you being racist, judging somebody by their color. It's totally different from you responding to what somebody's been doing to you for a million years. It's not racism. It's a reaction. It's totally different.
Let me ask you a question. There are oppressed people that are not black.
like that question really tricks me. Like, are there oppressed people that are not black? I wish you would have answered that shit just to see where he was going with it. Let me ask you a question. Are there oppressed people that really are black? Yes, there are. So what's your point? Yes, there are. So what's your point? What's your point? Oppressed people, they're not black. I mean, the Irish people were oppressed by other white people, and then they came over here and they clicked in with white people, and it became the police force, the modern police force. What's your point? What's your point? And then when we talk about people, again, now we got to talk about ethnic groups versus racial shit. White supremacy isn't just white people; it's other groups. Tap Hispanic people and Asian people will tap into that too, as you can see with the racism they do in their countries, or prejudice commercials, which reinforces racism. Like, what are you talking about? Like, a black person can't keep a white person from getting a house that they want if they can buy it. Like, name me something that black people can keep a white person from doing. Just name that. Like, this dude was dead ass serious. And it's like, dude, it looks hella goofy. Dude, you are mixed. What the fuck are you talking about? What they gave to us. What the fuck do you mean? You're a product of, like, what are you talking about? Like, for real. He said, hey, sometimes in articles like one in Forbes, they even let black people know about these people. They don't roll in a way to get recognized. I mean, that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. This is what happens. That's like when you say, what do you mean roll in a way? No, if you prioritize hip sports and fucking music, and that's where you think your power comes from, then yeah, I guess they wouldn't. I guess they wouldn't. But I guess they wouldn't. He built up Florida and a few other spots. I have David's books, which all types of Asians and women rewrote. That's crazy. I gotta check that out. I think he lives his life leaning into his lighter complexion, along with backing white talk, leading him to communicate with others. I'm assuming white men will echo them back. Yeah, I mean the thing is, man, it's like people like that. It's like, dude, we can have a conversation, and I can prove you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But with black people, their economics and their, like, again, quality of life, health, time freedom, relationships, money. Your money and your relationships are dependent on white people, then yeah, you're gonna sit here and believe what they say. But I'm not even going into all of that. The thing is, just what he said. Do you think other oppressed people can be black? Okay, give me an example of an oppressed person. I'm not having this theoretical. You were the one that made the statement. You need to substantiate what you're talking about. This nigga didn't give one example. If you listen to this whole thing, he didn't give, like, listen to the whole thing. He didn't give one example.
Black people are raised in a scenario where some of us are inherently racist based on shit that our parents instilled in us.
Black people can't be racist.
Okay, I ain't having that conversation.
Prejudice towards whites.
And that's just shit that our kids, you know what I mean, our parents gave to us. So
black people can't be racist. The oppressed can't be racist. It's impossible. You can't be you being racist, judging somebody by their color. It's totally different from you responding to what somebody's been doing to you for a million years. It's not racism. It's a reaction. It's totally different.
Let me ask you a question. There are oppressed people that are not black.
I don't give a fuck. I'm talking about niggas. No, we can't be racist.
We having a conversation. You said oppressed people can't be racist.
No. I'm saying black people can't be racist. That's what I said.
She did, but I know what she meant.
I said black people can't be racist, and because they are oppressed. That's what I said. But I'm not speaking for nobody. A Mexican,
I'm just saying, let's move past
Puerto Rican, a Dominican, none of that. Right, I'm talking for niggas. What I care about, niggas.
Can I make an observation? Because
I made that statement earlier.
I watched this conversation happen a million times, and I feel like whenever people have the black people can't be racist conversation, I find that both people are actually saying the same thing,
and this is where I start getting disrespectful. I start being like, nigga, I don't give a fuck about the bitch you fucking, because that's really what it comes down to. You want to make the bitch you fucking comfortable, and I'm like, fuck that shit, because she ain't making you comfortable. She ain't making your ass comfortable. She is a white woman in America. I want you to think about that. And remember, this nigga mix. Why the fuck are you even in black? Like, the thing that kills me is, it's like, if you're like on that Zoe Saldana shit, then be over there. Now, I'm not saying you don't have a right to have an opinion, especially when it comes to internal culture shit black people do. But goddamn, like, dude, you already are halfway, half mixed anyway. And then you see, because I bet you these motherfuckers, especially the men, they never have this. Some of the women, because they're talking about their truth, they'll speak on it. But since we already here, you motherfuckers, since we already here. By the way, did you see that Darth Maul trailer? That shit was good. It looked. Oh, by the way, shout out to Kathleen Kennedy is gone. So this is from a biracial woman. This is from a biracial woman. So she has a black mom and a white dad. So this is the biracial woman that, this black female approved. Let's see what she has to say.
White man who hated my mom for being black. My father was an absent father, but mom for being black. My father was an absent father, but when he was around, him and my mother were always arguing, and every argument that they had ended in some kind of racial battle. He weaponized her race a lot, saying he was the only white man she was going to get, that he saved her, he gave her a life of luxury.
Yes, she's gone. She's gone. Dave Filoni is running it now.
And beautiful children, and a massive list of derogatory names. That was the only exposure I had to their relationship. It wasn't very loving, so I did not grow up in an interracial household where love and integration was fostered. It was more so that the white person was saving the minority group. And this era of racial and financial.
Now, what's crazy about this, if you look at her, you would never, this is not somebody that you would pick up as mixed. You would pick up necessarily as mixed. This is Mary from Sinners.
Supremacy didn't just extend to my mother, it also extended to us as children. So it fed into this idea that if I married outside of my race, that race I was marrying into was one, superior to my own, but also two, I would have to abandon my culture and my heritage.
Why do I focus on race topics? My channel is built off talking about black culture and internal stuff that we deal with as black culture from basically black men. That's what this channel is built on. That's what this channel is built on. I may deviate with other stuff here and there, but this channel has been around for almost 8 years. That's what this channel is built on. Why do you focus on race topics at the end of the day? The only way for any of the change is economic. And I do talk about the economics. But here's the problem. Economics doesn't do number one, economics has to be race-based. So when you look at Dr. Clark Anderson and his 5 floors is economics, which is the resources, politics with division of resources. Then you've got the law. Then you've got the media. Then you've got education at the top, but there's something below that. It's called culture. And that's what my channel focuses on. So if you're talking about things like powernomics and economics doesn't mean anything if it's not going to be surrounded amongst a certain group, which is where spreading your dollars around and stuff like that. So there's no way to not talk about race if you're talking about economics. If you're talking about personal economics, that's not the same conversation. So people kill me with why are you talking about race? If it doesn't make you comfortable, you don't got to be here. Plenty of channels on YouTube
for the other race. In addition to this feeling that another race was going to somehow save me, or that a man was going to have to save me. So you spend your time looking for that person who's going to save you. How my black mother's internalized racism eventually led to us going no contact. My father had a certain aesthetic that he wanted us to have. And as a result of that, we spent a lot of time pandering to a white audience. She'd spend a lot of time straightening my hair, and in between the layers, she would tell me that we needed to do this so that we could look nicer. that curls made me look nappy-headed, and that she was so sorry that she gave them to me. On wash days, she'd praise me for them and tell me how to repair them. In the summer, she would praise me for being able to hold a tan thanks to her genes, but now I looked mixed. The winter, she would compare me to the snow and say that I lost my color and that things would become difficult, but was content with my aesthetic because she was receiving less criticism from my father. In between it all, she grew agitated with the public's ever-changing acceptance and rejection of our relationship, and as it ebbed and flowed with the seasons, I couldn't tell if my mother loved my mixed genes or
Don't. I saw the black cat. She's coping.
she hated them. And more
I hope you don't abuse that black cat.
overarching,
Even though in the cat world, orange cats are really the real black cats.
I couldn't tell if she loved me or hated me, which led to this internal dialogue of which side am I supposed to choose? If I do this, will my parents finally love me? And
By the way, guys, this is 30 minutes.
perform. How my mother's internalized racism contributed to us going at no contact. She was always at war with her racial identity and really struggled with the ideology that she was a white girl trapped in a black girl's body. She often moved with an air of love, but it was laced with undertones of envy.
That's Candace Owens. A white girl trapped in a black girl's body. That's Candace Owens. There's a lot of that's Zoe Saldana as well.
self-deprivation, especially when she was speaking about her children's lighter skin tones, both to others and to them. And it created a ton of dissonance between her and her children because she often spoke of accepting other people for their differences, of being open-minded, leading with empathy, and how color didn't matter. But then she would follow up those conversations with self-deprecating statements like, I wish I wasn't black. I'm getting too dark. I'm sorry that you're half of me. And when I look in the mirror, I am a white woman. And then round her children up to go to the beauty shop or go get her braids done or drop them off at Auntie A's house for the summer for cultural bonding time. As a child with no context behind this radical flip-flop between love and hate, some of the first ever messaging that started to get engraved into our minds were compare, and love thy differences, but hate your own. Daughter of a black woman who hated being black. So this is more of a story time. So there was a point when my parents divorced. It wasn't because of the racial stuff. My father cheated on my mother. I found out and I told her. So that's a whole nother fun story. We'll talk about it later. But after she got divorced, she immediately started dating one of the family friends of the abusive family, one of those family members, and then married him. Very quickly, within like a year, after everything we've been through at 15 years old, I still went to go and live with her. And I had to get a job immediately because after about 2 weeks of living there, my mother told me that I needed to give her $600 a month in rent.
Yeah, by the way, Ray, I'll remove that because I looked at that video. That's a mush. That's not a hit. That so saying it's a hit. I mean, this is where people gonna blow shit like that up. That's not a hit. You can even see, and if because my thing is, why not let the shit play out to see if she fall or whatever. That's not a hit. That's a mush. It's not a hit. Happens all the time. So again, I get you like Anton, but please don't put shit like that in my shit. Using my stuff as a vector to share shit.
We live in a trailer without a complete shower, with no running kitchen. The lights were always off. Half of it was deconstructed. I'd had to sleep on the floor. So I wound up being a nanny to a nurse. She had 3 children, and she paid me $650 a month. Giving her all my money, she tells me that's not enough, and I need to go back and ask this lady for a raise because she needs more. Go ask this lady for a raise. She gives me like $860, and my mom comes back. She goes, okay, I want $800 a month. Oh, and the real kicker is
my issue with Zoe Saldana is she can identify how she wants to identify. My issue with Zoe Saldana is Zoe Saldana early in her career, you only know who the fuck Zoe Saldana is because the earlier black roles like Drumline and shit like that she got. And a lot of Afro-Latina. Shout out to Gina Torres, but goddamn. Like Jessica Pierce is not seen as an Afro-Latina. She is seen as a black woman. Even when they tried to do her own show, they did it as a black woman. And so the reality of it is my thing is as black, as FBAs, we give, I'm talking about other black women. Other black women lose out on these roles because Latins don't classify Afro Latinas as black, so they don't get in those spots. I'm talking about even in Latin America. That's where that becomes bullshit. So now we're losing roles to we're losing fucking roles to the black Brits, which, look, man, I like, was it Damson Idris, was it what's called to play Finn, was it Idris Elba's got mixed ties, so it's different. But we're losing roles to black immigrants now. Afro, like, when you really take an inventory, when you really take an inventory on you take an inventory on how many actual African Americans are getting these roles, they are using that to press us out. And this is yet again another reason why we have to have our own shit, because that gives us leverage. So when you really take inventory of where we are and where, like, how many they really use these black immigrants the way to phase us out. And they do it with the men, they do it with the women. And we don't pay attention to that. And so even with other people, I'm like, these are black women that are not getting these roles. I mean, I like LMA's music. LMA is from the UK. And my thing is, you got LMA, you got what's her name is with she did Burning Blue, Mariah the Scientist. But every time we're presented, it's a Glorilla, it's a Sexy Red. They're doing that on purpose. And black people are kind of asleep at the fucking wheel. And I actually like LMA, but the reality is the type of music LMA makes, a black woman should be making that music. But instead, we're doing this hood horror music. And so it seems as exotic when LMA does it. Same thing with Tyler. It's like there's no femininity. It's all this sexual aggression bullshit. So so the issue with Zoe Saldana is that her original role, she wasn't presented as a Latin person. Rosario Dawson was at least presented as an Afro Latina. So I can kind of let Rosario Dawson go. And Rosario Dawson hasn't said no crazy shit. Throughout her career, both of the stuff is reflected. That's not true for Zoe Saldana. And that's the issue I have with it. And so I'm really getting tired. This is why when people talk about why are we getting boxed out, you're getting boxed out because how the people that came before you switched up. So now we got to have a real conversation. How many black women got phased out because of Zoe Saldana? Like, let's keep it all the way real. And Zoe Saldana is a decent, solid actress, but goddamn, she ain't like. How many chicks could have played Uhura? Like, for real. For real. That's the game that gets played.
She was getting $1,700 a month from my dad, so she was getting $1,700 a month for each of us from my father, plus the $950 a month from me. My father.
No, this chick isn't. I don't know if you talk about this chick. This chick isn't attractive mulatto for a couple of reasons. Number one, she can interweave in black and really in the white situation. That's number one. Number two, like, a cop is not gonna walk up to her. She's got to be really in intimate situations with white people in order to get fucked up. Other than that, she's fine. That's number one. Number two is she's not like, she's just telling, notice she's talking about both her parents. She's not sitting here all this, that, blah, blah, blah. I don't know her personally. I don't know whatever, but this is 30 minutes of upload of TikToks that she did. Like, Shay never jumps in on this. So this is not the same thing as like a Doja Cat.
Is the kind of parent who was only around when they wanted the good part of anything. He allowed everyone in his life to do the child rearing and the care for him, to do the actual nitty-gritty part of parenting, the hard stuff. He was not around for that. He was not.
No, people can. Look, people can, if they want to cape for Anton, they want to be on Team Anton. That's fine. I'm not gonna do that. But what I will do is putting a link in here saying that Corey punched the chick when he really mushed her. That's not the same thing. It's not. And so this is why I'm like, we're not gonna do the propaganda and stuff. We're not doing that because I didn't do that with Anton.
Kind of parent. He's the kind of parent that swoops in when the hard work's done so he can make a Facebook post, and is very, very much the kind of person who attached himself to your image as long as it benefited him, especially with his children. If his children were doing well, right there. If his children were doing unwell, well, he just wrote them off for his mental health. And well and unwell was really subjective. It was just based off of what he thought was well and unwell. Did you go with the thing that he needed you to do to perform as? Can he bring you in front of his social audience and have his ego built? Because ultimately, everything is in self-service of his ego. And you know what? Anybody who has had a complicated relationship with a narcissist knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm biracial with a black mom. I'm going to tell you some of the ways that we experience life differently because look at me. Oh, my mom has to over-explain everything to everyone. They always think she's guilty of something, so she's like talking and talking. I don't really have to explain myself just for existing in a space. Now, I am an over-explainer because of
Yeah, it is, but you can tell because we like, come on, man. You see, you look at the video, it's a mush. I'm not even like trying to cape for Corey. It's a mush. Like, I don't know what y'all think a mush is. When you put your hand on them, yeah, you push it back. She didn't even go back.
Other reasons, but because of the way that I look, no. Women clutch their purses when they see that my mom isn't going to move to the other side of the sidewalk. They grab it and they like hide it, like she's going to snatch it off them or something. But I don't even see them make a move towards their bag when they see me walking down the sidewalk by myself. Oh, my mom got dress coded a lot. Mostly for her hair because they thought that it was unprofessional. However, if I wear my hair naturally curly, it's compliments. Why don't you wear your hair like that more? It's so beautiful. Not getting dress coded. The other thing is my mom and I are very blunt. We're very kind of rough around the edges. But the difference is my mom is seen as aggressive and an aggressor versus I'm being viewed as assertive or strong. But yeah, I noticed a lot of differences in the way the world treated us. One of the things my mother did was she pursued the attention of white people, particularly white women. And I think when I look back, she was replicating the relationship that she wanted to have.
Also, tragic mulattoes don't pass. This shit clearly passes. This shit could be a golf girl. Pick a version of white woman she wants to be. She might have to be a brunette. She would look goofy being a blonde. But other than that, what are we talking about? And I think that's her and her parents. Yeah.
With her adoptive family, trying to repair that or seek validation from them by seeking it in an outside source that wasn't them. So she was in this
exactly. Her mom is black and her dad is white. Yep.
Perpetual state of chasing the affections of people that just weren't willing to give it to her. The more she wasn't accepted by her family, the more she wasn't accepted by white women, the more she demanded her children to chase her affections, where she would push them out and kind of play this tiptoe song and dance of chase me, make me feel loved, make me feel validated, make me feel like I should be your mother. This emotionally immature cycle of depending on your children for the validation because you can't get it from your family or the white woman, so you're trying to get it from your white-skinned children. So what wound up happening is I spent a lot of...
I not say that about that picture that Candace Owens had with all them white women. I told you that's Candace Owens may know how to control it more. But the thing is, getting with a white man is not enough because if the white women don't fuck with you, see?
I'm giving my mother validation that she wasn't giving me. So my whole purpose was to emotionally regulate her and provide her with something that other people feel. And my whole purpose became around what she needed and how I could be useful for her. So instead of her pouring into the next generation was backwards. Through the video, we're going to start with her normal skin tone. So as I remember as a child, and then towards the end of the video it'll be as her more current, so you can see what that looks like. I'm the daughter of a black woman who hated being black, and I missed out on a lot of things that daughters got to do with their mothers growing up, such as going in and using their beauty.
She just says so casually. I'm the daughter of a black woman who hated being black. Oh shit. Yeah.
Products. Every time I try to go in and use her lotions, because you know how moms have a bunch of different scents and stuff a lot of the time, I never could. And it turns out it was because my mother was using a lot of skin lightening creams. If you don't know what a skin lightening product is, it's basically a product that's designed to lighten the skin by blocking melanin production with different types of chemicals. When I confronted her about it, she said it wasn't a big deal because she'd been using it for years and that she wasn't going to stop no matter how I felt about it because she didn't like herself and she was allowed to make any kind of changes that she wanted, which is valid, but also really really sad. When I was younger, it made me feel like there was something wrong with darker skin tones because my mom was trying so desperately to change it. So it made me feel like I wasn't ever allowed to be too tan. Now, I never felt any kind of way
Now you see why Shay Sade just said, fuck it, let it play.
about being more melanated for somebody else. It very much was self-hatred. Self-hatred was the love language of our family, but it did make me look at my skin a lot more. My mom would run smear campaigns on me. She would go to my friends, my parents' friends, my siblings, family, strangers, anyone. It didn't matter, just as long as she could have their audience. She would make up stories about me, or if something bad happened between us, she would go and try to tell people first. Similarly, if she saw that I was having a strong connection with somebody, she would insert herself into that person's life so that she could share with them negative stories about me. So, for example, if it was a romantic interest, she would share with them stories about my exes. That did a couple of things. It isolated me, so I didn't have any support system outside of her. So when it came to the abuse, I had to.
Don't this sound like a reverse Get Out situation? Don't this sound like a reverse? Like they be like, yo, we could make this a reverse Get Out situation. They just got to make the dad. They got to give some kind of tragic, like the dad died or something like that.
Choice but to accept it because I had nowhere else to go. I also developed anxiety around meeting new people because a lot of the time when I did meet someone new, they would look down on me or try to hold me accountable for things that I didn't do because of conversations that my mother had with them. So I spent a lot of time in a defensive position, and that was if the person was even willing to listen to me, because a lot of the time people wouldn't even believe what I said because my mother had gone on this whole campaign so that if I ever spoke out, they already had her narrative in mind. So at some point as a kid, it wasn't even worth it. Did my mom try to live through me? No, my mom tried to lock me away a lot. My mother was a light diminisher. She very much tried to do anything to make me feel less.
Yeah, and she talks white too. Like when I say talks white, like you can like her cadence, how she like communicates the words she uses straight up white. This chick said I had to spend my whole life in the defensive position. This chick was in like a Get Out matriarch. This is sad, but this is funny as fuck, man. This is the father. This is the father. This is the father right here.
Black girls, I love them. I love them. You like black girls? I love them. I love them. Like black girls, I love them. I love them.
That's why I be telling them date white, since you think you're gonna find some better shit.
Herself. Simple example. If there was an article of clothing that I said made me feel beautiful, the next time that article of clothing was washed, it would be ruined in a way that I wouldn't be able to wear it again. Or if I gained a little bit of weight, she would give me clothes she knew was too small and then ask me to try them on, and was very adamant that I couldn't walk away until she saw them on me. When you have a mother that operates from a place of envy like that, they are seeing their daughters as competition, and they are doing anything to keep them from getting their footing. The thing is, when you are young, your mother is one of the first women that you look up to teach you how to be a woman. When you have a mother that's operating from that place, they're teaching you to be small. They're teaching you to not really take full grasp of your beauty in order to make another woman comfortable, particularly an older woman comfortable. Because of that, I spent a lot of time self-sabotaging. I'm the daughter of a Black woman who hated being Black. And one of the things I noticed is that my mother came across as dejected when she realized that I wasn't even allowing her access into white spaces. She had this habit of pursuing relationships with white people, particularly white women who rejected her. I personally think it ties back to her upbringing because of some of the racism that she had dealt with when she was younger, particularly with an adoptive family that she had, never truly knowing who her birth father was, and then the relationship she wound up having with my dad. She had a lot of white people.
You know what's funny? Dude would consider this Black women being racist against white people.
her life that were she was constantly pursuing affections and attentions for, and the only way she could get those was by presenting more white, and thus she was chasing that same relationship in other white people, trying to somehow get the connection that she wasn't able to build with them or that she couldn't repair in the past. How did that impact me as a child? Well, it normalized abuse for me. It seemed like the people that we chased and wanted affections for were our abusers, so if they were abusing us, then that was a person that we wanted. It also formulated this opinion that rejection meant to try harder. It also left me feeling dysregulated, and it put me a lot of the times in a position where I felt like I had to defend my mother. So now I'm a child defending a parent, which means I felt very unsafe a lot of the time. It didn't seem like I had a safe place to go to because the person who was supposed to be safe for me was repeatedly putting me in situations where I was unsafe and happened to be the defender. My mom wanted to be accepted by white women so badly. She spent a lot of time trying to access their spaces and trying to be like them, but she could never meet them there. And she always felt some kind of anger and resentment towards other Black women because they were the only ones that would accept her. The more Black women accepted her and the more white women rejected her, she felt even worse about being Black. The more the self-hatred comments came in. And I saw this almost crash out in her when she realized that only Black women were accepting her because it solidified that kinship would be found in people that look like her. And the fact that she was finding kinship in people that look like her, it was basically a rubber stamp that she is a Black woman. So even in all of her efforts to try to be like a white woman, she wasn't succeeding. That white women weren't accepting her. And because they weren't accepting her, they weren't accepting us. No matter how much she changed her appearance, no matter what her children looked like, because they weren't also not seeing me as white either. It was literally another mirror of her Blackness that she could not escape from. My mother spent most of my developmental years flip-flopping between what was an acceptable presentation and what was not. It was very focused on if it was too dark, too light, or just the right amount. But the problem was there was never a right answer because any single one of those answers were always a screaming reflection of the fact that she was a Black woman in a white person's world who faced adversity, hatred, and abuse.
Yeah, there's about 7 more minutes, 10 more minutes on Shay Sade's channel. I'll share the video. He's at her jawline. But as you can see, that's what they do with them white kids, them magical white children that they somehow create. Whew. Ooh. She would make a hell of a therapist, though. Could you imagine like a Black woman crashing out on her about racism? She says, "My mother's Black." You lying bitch! You didn't even get to the part where her own family, like her white family, used to talk shit. We didn't even get to that part. Oh, all right, y'all. Y'all got a good one out of me. I would definitely recommend you finish it at Shay Sade's channel because Shay Sade doesn't jump in and she's gonna get to the point where her white family and like what I left out was the white fuckery that the white people side of her family be doing. It's fucked up. Who? All right, y'all. Well, this has been a great run. With that being said, this is Edward signing off. Peace.